is SSL Family Dad with Simple Suburban Living, and today we're going to be doing a cleanup on an older Windows XP computer. This one needs a lot of cleanup, so we're going to go through a step-by-step tutorial on how to clean up a Windows XP computer. We're going to be doing this using all included software, so software that comes with Windows XP. We're not downloading any third-party tools or tune-up utilities or anything like that, all built-in tools. And this is a step-by-step in-depth tutorial that's good for any user, any skill level. So if you're just an average home user looking to clean up an old computer to give to the kids or just to use for internet use and things like that, this will be a great tutorial for you. Or even if you're a computer tech and you do this on an everyday basis and you'd like to kind of see how I do things and a process that I use without even paying for any additional software. So this is a 4-step process, and we're going to go through here and we'll go ahead and get started with step 1. Alright, so first thing we're going to do here is just every time I do a tune-up like this, I always want to do just a couple preliminary checks. Just make sure the computer's in good health, make sure that this is the right service we need to be doing here. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and go down to your Start menu and left-click to open that menu up. And we're going to right-click on the My Computer icon, so do a right-click there. And then we're going to go down to Properties. So we're just going to check out kind of the system hardware. Just make sure we have enough RAM installed on the computer and just make sure everything else is looking all right here. So you'll see down here this system properties tells you what processors in the computer, speed, and all kinds of technical information about that. And you'll also see here how much RAM is installed in the computer. Now this may look a little bit different depending on what manufacturer you have. Sometimes Dell or HP or Toshiba, they put their own little logos and information here. But you should see this information here somewhere. So what we're looking here is how much RAM is installed in the computer. And right here you can see we have 1 gigabyte installed. That's the recommended amount of RAM for Windows XP at this point. Windows XP with Service Pack 3, which is the latest updates. If you have anything less than that listed here, so if you have 256 megabytes or 512 or 768 megabytes, you definitely want to consider upgrading the RAM in the computer. You can still go through the tune-up process today. That's not going to stop anything, but the computer still may run a little bit slow until you get that memory upgraded. I do have another video on upgrading RAM, so if you have questions about how to do that, you can go ahead and check that video out. Alright, so we can go ahead and click OK and close this out. And the next thing we're going to do is just check out our hard drive really quick. So I always like to just do a quick check on the hard drive, make sure there's no problems with that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and hit your Start menu again. And this time you're going to left click on My Computer here to open up the My Computer panel. And you're going to go ahead and click on your hard drive icon. This time we're going to do a right click and then down to Properties. And so here you have the hard drive properties. You'll see some information about your hard drive, how much space is available and used. Up at the top you'll see some tabs here. Let's go ahead and click on the Tools tab. And then on this error checking section, we're going to hit the Check Now button. So left click there. You're going to go ahead and select both of these options. Automatically fix file system errors and scan for an attempt recovery of bad sectors. So this is an included tool with Windows XP. What this is going to do is just quickly check over your hard drive, see if there's any bad sectors, or it's kind of like a scratch on a CD, see if there's any spots that are bad or if there's any problems with the file structure. It's going to try to fix those problems and mark any sectors that it finds that are damaged or bad on your hard drive. So you can go ahead and click Start on that. Next, it's going to tell you that you can't do this while you're using your computer, so you need to reboot the computer, and it's going to do it as soon as it starts back up again. I'm not going to do this right now, but you'll want to go ahead and hit yes, and then reboot your computer. Now what that's going to do is it's going to go through and do a quick check on the computer as it boots up, check all the hard drive stuff out, fix some errors, and then it'll go ahead and boot back into Windows, and you'll be able to use the computer to finish the tune-up here. Now, things you want to look for, if you get any blue screens, if you see some error messages during the process there that happens, or any other kind of funky things happen, then you know you probably have some problems with your hard drive that are a little more serious. That's probably a reason for it running slow, and you may want to get the hard drive replaced in the computer. At the very minimum, back up your data. So as you can see, I closed out of those windows there, and the last thing we're going to do, we can close this out as well, go back to the the desktop here. The last thing I always like to do is just run a virus scan. This is just a quick check, so just whatever virus program you have installed, Windows, Microsoft Security Essentials, Avast, AVG, Kaspersky, Norton, WebRoot, Trend Micro, whatever it is that you have. Just go ahead and run a scan with your security software. If you don't have security software installed, I would recommend that you at least get the Microsoft Security Essentials, which you can do a search for and download online. This is a real basic free security program from Microsoft. Go ahead and run a full scan on the computer. Make sure that you don't have any obvious virus infections or anything like that before you proceed with just regular tune-up. If you do have some virus infections, we have another video out there that will help you remove those. So once that scan is done, I've already done that here. Once that scan is done, we've done the preliminary checks. We know that everything's looking all right on the computer. It just needs some cleanup. We'll go ahead and move on to step 2 and get started with that cleanup. All right, so here's step 2, and this is going to be where the bulk of the cleanup happens. This is kind of the longest step. The first thing I always like to do is just go through and clear out all the temporary files and other junk that's been collected on the system. So what we're going to do is go ahead down to Start, and you're going to open up all programs. You're going to go up to Accessories, and then over to System Tools. And here's a couple tools that we're going to be using, so kind of take note of where this is at, because I'll run a little quicker next time we come back here. But in your System Tools, there's a couple things: Disk Cleanup, Disk Defragmenter, and System Restore. The first thing we're going to do is do Disk Cleanup. So this is going to go through, find temporary files and other files that have been collected throughout the use of the computer, and we're going to get those removed. So while that's running its scan, we're going to go ahead and start the next step, because that can take some time. Oh, I guess it didn't take too much time on this computer. So we've got a whole bunch of files in here. It's not going to hurt anything to delete every single one of these. So go ahead down the list and check all these boxes. So it's going to compress older files. Recycle bin's got a bunch of junk in it. Temporary internet files usually has a lot of things in it as well. So go ahead and check all those boxes. Click OK at the bottom. Are you sure you want to perform these actions? Yes, you are. And that'll go ahead and do its thing. So that's going to clean out all those temporary files. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go through our programs list and see what we don't need and get rid of it. So go ahead down to Start. Go over to click on Control. Excuse me, that's Control Panel. And then Add Remove Programs here in the list. If you have it on Classic View, you'll see an icon that will say Add Remove Programs right up here at the top. So either way you go ahead and open that up. And this is going to populate a list of all the programs we have installed in the computer. So this is one of the best things you can do to speed up an older computer, or any computer for that matter. Remove the things that you don't want. Remove the things that you don't need. Go through this list and take out things that you have installed that you don't use. I actually am going to be posting a full list of things that are known and good to remove for everyone. I have a bunch of things in here. I went and loaded this computer up with junk just for this purpose. So this is what's considered adware. It's not necessarily malicious, but it's just junk. 24/7 help, app graffiti, ask toolbar, coupon bar, driver detective, grocery coupon network. Scroll down and just check out a couple other things. I'm going to go through and remove all this stuff. Inbox, anything that has toolbar after it, we want to remove. Even Google toolbars, Microsoft toolbars. Your security software toolbars generally can be removed as well. Anything that has a toolbar on it is always safe to remove. They can always be put back on if for some reason you wanted to have them, but they're always okay to remove. Again, Online Vault, PC Power Speed, Rebate Informer. I recommend removing any type of weather bug, weather channel desktop. I recommend removing any third-party utilities that are tune-up related, System Mechanic, RegCure, Reg Cleaners, and all those kind of things. I just don't believe they're necessary. The more you have of those on here, the slower the computer's going to run. Go ahead and just clean up all those things that you don't need. Again, I'll post a link to a list of things that you know you can remove so you can reference that. You don't want to remove anything that has Microsoft on it. You don't want to remove anything that has like Dell or HP or your computer manufacturer generally, unless it's something that's obviously you don't need, like we don't need the help for our printer. You don't really need the HP updater. That's something I don't really need. Any updaters usually can go. The product improvement study, that's something we don't need. So use your best judgment and remove those things. So we've got all those programs uninstalled, all those toolbars, all those updaters, all those cleanup utilities, and all that other good stuff. All that stuff cleaned out. I did a fresh reboot on the computer so that we've got a good fresh startup without all that stuff loading up with the computer. And it's already running a little bit quicker, so that's good. On an older computer like this, I really encourage you to be more aggressive with what you remove. If you've got that Yahoo toolbar that you really like to use, I really recommend you get rid of it at this point and try to thin the system down as much as possible, because even on a decent hardware for its era, Windows XP will still run a little slow. So we want to strip it down as much as possible and clean it out. So that's definitely something to think about. All right, so it looks like I've got a couple rogue icons left on the desktop here. I'm just going to trash those. So if you have shortcuts and things like that on your desktop that you don't need, I don't need to shop for supplies for my printer, so I'm going to trash that one too. Just keep it clean a little bit. All right, so the next big thing we're going to do is do some startup. Yes, I do want to delete the shortcut. So now we're going to check the startup of the computer. Try to optimize that as much as possible. Make sure that we don't have anything starting up that we don't need to. So we're going to go ahead and open our Start menu, and we're going to go over here to the Run, and we're going to type in msconfig, msconfig, and then press OK. And this is going to open up the Microsoft configuration utility. This is a basic, again, these are all included tools, startup utility that's going to tell us kind of what starting up with the computer processes and services and all that kind of stuff. So you'll see a bunch of tabs across the top here. For this level tune-up, we're not doing virus removal. We're not really digging into anything else. We should only need to click on the Startup tab. I don't recommend you go in and try to disable services. Services that you don't want starting with the computer, basically they're probably associated with a program that we already just removed. So go ahead over to your Startup tab. Now that we've removed all that junk, there's really not a whole lot in here. You might have more in here. You may have updaters and other things. This is another place where you have to use a little bit of common sense. So if you can grab onto this slider across the top here, you can kind of expand this command line. It tells you at least what it's running and what we're looking at. Okay, so some of the stuff is related to the virtual machine that I have, so I'm not going to mess with too much of it. But there's also some things in here that I don't know what they are, and I don't need them. So I'm looking at this here. Application data folder. These are things that are probably left behind by that junk that we were uninstalling. You really can't do any damage by unchecking these boxes. So if you're not sure, if it doesn't say Intel, if it doesn't say your computer manufacturer, Dell or HP or Toshiba, whatever, Sony, whatever kind of computer you have, you're probably all right to uncheck it. Your printer may have something that loads up with the computer. Your security program should be in here. Those are good things to keep. This Windows, anything in the Windows system, that stuff you want to keep. Generally, that's part of the operating system loading up. I generally uncheck anything from Adobe and Java. Those are generally scheduled updaters. We don't need those to start with the computer. I prefer to manually update those programs. So go through this list. Anything if it has a missing file or it's grayed out, uncheck it. The less you have here with a checkbox in it, the better. So once you have this kind of cleaned up, and again, if you have questions about what's removed, throw them in the comments. I'll try to answer those. I'll also have a list of startup programs that can be removed and can't be removed on a website that I'll post in the comments as well. But at this point, just go ahead and uncheck whatever you can, whatever you know you can identify. Go down and hit Apply at the bottom, and then Close. It's going to pop up and say, do you want to restart your computer for the changes to take effect? We're not going to restart right now. We've got a couple other things to do. So I'm going to say Exit without restart. And the next thing we're going to do is clean up our browsers. So we've got two browsers installed on this computer. I've got Google Chrome and Internet Explorer. I'm going to start with Internet Explorer because everyone has that. So go ahead to your Start menu, open up Internet Explorer. If you have a shortcut on your desktop, that's fine too. Just open the program up. I'm going to do a couple things here. I'm going to make this full screen. Alright. So, our home page changed to this inbox because of that junk we had installed. So we're going to change that. We want something better than inbox. So the first thing to do is go up to your Tools menu here. It should be up on the right-hand side. If you have an older version of Internet Explorer, it might just be on your Tools menu here. Either way, you're going to go to Internet Options. So the first thing I always do with Internet Explorer is go right up to this top tab, the Advanced tab, click on that, and go down to this Reset button right down here, and click on that Reset button. It's going to ask you some questions here. It's going to tell you kind of what it's doing. It's disabling toolbars and resetting all your settings back to factory default. So any of that junk that you had installed on there, it's going to go ahead and clear that out. You can also set delete personal settings. This does a more full reset. It actually deletes your home pages and it takes everything back to default. Temporary files, everything's cleared up. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So this will take a second. It'll go through a little process here. It's going to reset everything back to its default, clear out all that junk that we may have gotten installed on accident, and give us a fresh, clean start with Internet Explorer. We'll close that. And it's to the changes to take effect. We need to restart our browser. Don't need to restart the whole computer. Just close down Internet Explorer here. And then we're going to go open it back up. Okay. So now we've got Internet Explorer reset to its factory default. And there's one more thing we're going to check to make sure we're cleaned up. So we should have our default home page back, Microsoft, and you can change that to whatever you want. And our search providers should be reset back to their default, so we're not using any of those funky advertisement search providers. Okay, so we're going to go back to Internet Options. Okay, so Internet Options again. And basically what we're going to do here is just one more quick little cleanup. So across the top here on all your tabs, go over to the Programs tab and then go down to Manage Add-ons. So really the one we're concerned about right now, everything else should be already disabled since we reset the browser. The one we're concerned about is these search providers. So right now I have Live Search in here. That's fine. That's Bing or Microsoft. That's fine to have. Google's fine to have. If you have anything else listed in here, Inbox Search and Yahoo Search and Billy Bob Search Engine, anything you have listed in there, go ahead and click on those and there'll be a remove button that'll pop up right down here. You can hit that remove button and just clear all those out. You can see it's grayed out because that's the only one we have. So you want to remove any of those search providers that you have in there and just click on either Bing or Google. Those are the two or Yahoo is fine too, but Bing and Google are the most common. Click on Bing or Google and set that as your default. Clear out the rest of them and then go ahead and hit close. Go ahead and click OK. And we're done in Internet Explorer. We can close this out. All right. If you have Google Chrome, I'll show you really quick how to do the same type of thing in Google Chrome. Go ahead and open that browser up. I'm not going to get into Firefox today, just because it's not used as commonly, so we'll just stick with Google Chrome here and do that one. Google Chrome has the same issue as Internet Explorer. You can get toolbars and add-ins and all kinds of other things installed with the browsers. So we just want to make sure that those settings are back set to Google or something safe for us to search with and things. So go ahead up to your settings menu, which is up in the upper right hand corner. You'll see this menu button up here. Click on that. And then you want to go down to settings, which is right here. Okay, and this loads up your settings page. There's going to be two main sections that we're going to check in. One of them is going to be extensions, and the other one's going to be settings. So I'll start with extensions over here on the left hand side. Okay, so the extensions that could possibly be in here, anything that that adware and other things, like here we go, grocery coupon network. So I don't want that. I'm going to hit this little trash can over to the right hand side. Just left click on the trash can, and we want to remove that. Google Docs comes along with Google Chrome. I'll leave that in there. Anything else you see in here, if it's not your security program or if it's not something that you recognize or want, you want to go ahead and hit the trash can and remove that. It's going to help the browser load quicker. Next thing we're going to do is go down to settings. All right. So I'm going to scroll down just a little bit here so we can get in a better visual on some of the settings. So again, the search provider right here in the search section, it's set to ask search. I don't want that. So I'm going to go to manage search engines, and we're going to change it back to Bing or Google. In this case, I'll just switch it to Google since it's Google Chrome. Hit make default. And I'll go up here to this ask toolbar, and we're going to hit the little X and clear that out. I also don't really care for Yahoo. I don't want to have this extra ask in there, and I don't want AOL. So I'll leave Bing and Google again. Go down and hit done. You also may want to check and see if it's your home pages have changed to any type of junk. Up here where it says open specific pages or set of pages, you can click set pages, and you may see something listed in here like conduit or ask or inbox.com or one of those other ones. If there's something listed in there, you can change it to whatever you want. So change it to Google or something else. Also for show home button, click change. Make sure that your home button's not set up to another one of those junkware adware programs like Conduit or Inbox or PC Optimizer or any of those. So it's all clean in here, so we're pretty good. So we can go ahead and close out Google Chrome. And we're going to move on to the last main thing here. The last main step in the tune-up. We're going to go ahead and move on to that next. So we'll go ahead and move on to step 3. All right, so in step 3 here, this is just kind of tying everything together and making sure everything is updated and kind of running the way it should. So at this point, what I'm going to do is we're going to do updates for 4 main things. We're going to do updates for Windows, the operating system, Microsoft Windows. We're going to do updates for Adobe Flash Player, Adobe Reader, and Java. So Adobe Reader, Adobe Flash Player, and Java are third-party programs that everybody uses when you're online, games or email online, all types of different things use Java. somebody emails you a receipt or something like that from your bank, you want to do your bank statements, Adobe Reader is needed for that. And Flash Player is used on everything, including YouTube. So we want to have those things installed and up to date so that they run properly and you make sure your computer's secure. So the first thing I'm going to do is update Windows. And you do that by just clicking on the Start button, go to All Programs, and up at the top here you'll have either Windows Update or Microsoft Update or both. You can click on either one of those, and I already have them opened up here. So when you open up Microsoft Update or Windows Update, you'll come to this screen. You may have to accept a security prompt the first time you go to the site, but go ahead and do that, and then you'll come right to this screen. Personally, I generally hit the custom link here, and this just scans for all types of different updates that are available for your computer, including possible driver updates for like your modem or your monitor or your mouse or printer or things like that. So go ahead and hit custom, and that's going to run a little scan on the computer. So while that's doing that, the other things that you need to update are Adobe Reader. And so all you need to do is just up in the upper right hand corner here, just do a search for Adobe Reader. Google or Bing is fine. And you'll get this search result. This is the one you want to look for, get.adobe.com/reader, and you can hit downloads right under that link or on the main link there. I already have it installed on this computer, so I'm not going to do that. But you want to install the most recent version of Adobe Reader. Next thing you want to do is do a search for Adobe Flash Player, and you'll get this search result, same thing, get.adobe.com/flashplayer. Hit download now, install the Flash Player, that's the most recent version. Close that out. And then the other thing you need to do is Java. Do a search for Java and you'll go to java.com, and under the official site there, you'll see a download link as well in the search results, or you can go right to the main site and hit get now for Java. That'll automatically install the latest version. It will actually update if you have an older version on the computer. It'll automatically update it. The new installers will do that, so you don't need to worry about removing the old ones, unless you have some really old versions of Java, but you shouldn't have that. So there's probably a whole bunch of updates available for this system because I just set it up, but I won't go through the details on this. But essentially what you're going to do is just once this is finished, it's going to tell you that you have security updates available. There's software updates or hardware updates. It's really up to you which updates you want to install. The critical or the security updates, you need to install all of those. Anything under software and hardware categories, you can actually look through, and if they're driver updates or other things that you want to install, go ahead and do that. Graphics card updates and things a lot of times will be listed in there that can help improve performance of the system. So go ahead and do that at that time. The last thing after you get all your updates installed, and I'm just going to close this out because there's nothing really complicated about that process. The last thing that I like to do here is go back to your Programs menu, back up to Accessories, and your System Tools, and over to your disk cleanup again. Now we ran this when we first started, and we're going to run this when we end. So a lot of times some of those installers and updates and all kinds of things, they leave more junk, more temp files and things like that. So I always like to do one more last temp file cleanup once we're done with the tune-up. I also go through and empty your recycle bin. So clean off any data we can get cleaned off of this system. You're going to go through that same disk cleanup process that we went through at the beginning. So I'm not going to show that again, but you can check all those boxes that show up once the disk cleanup scan runs, and you're going to delete all those temp files. And that is the bulk of the tune-up. We've got one last step just to clean things up and button it up at the end here. So we'll go ahead and move on to that step. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and finish off the tune-up here just with a couple quick steps. Just two things that we need to do here. The first is create a restore point. That's just a snapshot of the system after we've done all our cleanup and gotten everything running just the way we want it. We're going to go ahead and create a snapshot restore point in case we run into trouble down the road. We can revert the computer back to today and it'll be all running just like it should. So we're going to go to Programs menu, and we're going to go up to Accessories and over to System Tools again. and down to system restore. Now, just so we only do this once, there's also your disk defragmenter is here as well. We're going to open up that next. So first thing we'll do is create a restore point, and so system restore will open here. We're going to click on create a restore point, and then we're going to click next. And here you can name it after cleanup, or after tune-up, or you can put the date in there, or whatever you want, and then you're just going to click on create. Now I've already done this, so I'm not going to do another one, but you just click on that create button. It takes a couple minutes, and it'll go ahead and create that restore point. Last thing you're going to do, go ahead back to start, accessories, and go into system tools, and go ahead and hit on disk defragmenter. It's going to open up this window right here, and you go ahead and just click on your hard drive icon, C or D or E or whatever it is. Most of the time it's C, and click on the analyze button. It's going to run a quick analysis on the hard drive, and it's going to tell you probably that you need to defragment it. What this does is basically takes all the files that are jumbled all around on your hard drive, and it puts the ones that need to be next to each other. Sometimes files are split and they're scattered all over the hard drive, so it tries to group those together. That helps the computer retrieve information from the hard drive a lot quicker. So it's always a good idea to defragment the hard drive, maybe once a month or so. So you can go ahead and hit defragment. Now this process can take quite a bit of time. It's another reason why we do it last. So at this point you can go and do something more fun and let this run. Sometimes takes an hour, sometimes two, maybe more, depending on how big your hard drive is and how scattered the hard drive is. So go ahead and let this run. Once it's finished, you can close it out and your computer is all cleaned up and ready to go. I hope that this video found you well. I hope that you enjoyed watching and learned a few things, whether you're a professional or just somebody looking to clean up an old computer. This is a great way to clean up a computer, not using any outside software. I don't really recommend using a lot of external tune-up programs and cleanup utilities and all that kind of stuff. It's not really necessary. Windows comes with all the basics that you need to keep your computer running clean. Now, if you do run into viruses or you have other errors or other major problems, we do have another video that will address those, and that actually does require some third-party software. If you did like the video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. If you have questions or comments about the video, please go ahead and throw those in the comment section. I do monitor the channel regularly, so I can help answer those. If you want to see more videos or other tune-ups, we are going to be continuing to release tech tune-up and tech related videos on the channel. So go ahead and hit subscribe, and hopefully this helped you out, and hopefully your computer's running much quicker. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.